Lily Harper was Ridgewood's beloved prom queen. Tyler Brooks thought he knew her best, Samantha Reed called her closest friend, and Evan Miles watched from the shadows. But no one expected the night would end with Lily vanishing without a trace. The night shimmered with excitement, the kind that only comes once in a lifetime. Balloons floated above the polished gym floor, and the air smelled of perfume, cheap cologne, and anticipation. Ridgewood High's annual prom was the biggest event of the year, and for 17-year-old Lily Harper, it was everything she had dreamed of. She had spent weeks preparing. The perfect dress, the right makeup, the flawless smile. When the announcement came and her name echoed through the speakers, the crowd erupted in cheers. She stood under the sparkling lights, holding her crown, her hands trembling slightly as the music swelled. Cameras flashed from every corner. In that moment, she was the center of everything. Friends surrounded her, taking selfies and laughing as the DJ switched songs. Lily's golden dress shimmered whenever she moved, catching reflections from the disco ball like tiny bursts of sunlight. For hours, the night was a blur of dancing, spinning lights, and teenage laughter. To anyone watching, it was a picture of happiness. No one could have guessed it would be the last night anyone would see her alive. By midnight, the decorations were beginning to droop, and the music faded to slower tunes. Groups of friends left in pairs, high heels clicking against the polished floor as parents' cars lined up outside. Lily lingered a little longer, helping a friend gather her things before saying goodbye. Witnesses remembered her smiling, still glowing from the attention, her crown slightly crooked on her head. She walked alone toward the back parking lot, where her white sedan waited under a flickering streetlight. Security footage later confirmed her movements. Lily appeared calm, her phone in hand, scrolling as she walked. The timestamp read 12:17 a.m. After that, nothing. The next frame showed the empty lot, her car still there, engine cold. No one else appeared on camera. What happened between those moments became the question that haunted the town. The following morning, her mother called the police after Lily failed to come home. By noon, officers located her car parked near Miller's Creek, just a few miles from the school. The doors were unlocked, the keys on the front seat, and her purse untouched. Her phone lay face down on the gravel, screen shattered. There were no signs of a struggle, no footprints leading away, just the faint sound of running water from the nearby stream. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. The news spread fast. Within hours, local reporters gathered near the school gates, broadcasting live updates as students stood in silence, holding hands. Lily wasn't just another name on a missing persons report. She was Ridgewood's golden girl, the homecoming favorite, the straight student with the perfect smile. Her face was everywhere, on posters, on news screens, on social media feeds. The once celebratory crown became a haunting symbol, a reminder that something terrible had happened on the night that was supposed to be perfect. And as the sun set over Ridgewood, the first whispers of suspicion began to stir. The disappearance of Lily Harper spread through Ridgewood like wildfire, shaking the small town to its core. Ridgewood had always been a quiet place, where everyone knew each other, and trouble rarely reached beyond the occasional teenage prank. But after Lily went missing, that peace cracked. Neighbors who once smiled across white picket fences began locking their doors earlier. Parents drove their daughters to school, their eyes scanning every shadow along the way. The once friendly town suddenly felt colder, smaller, and full of secrets. Volunteers organized search parties that combed through fields, riversides, and abandoned barns. The local church opened its doors to the worried and grieving, where candles burned night after night beneath Lily's framed school portrait. Television crews parked along Main Street, their bright lights cutting through the gloom, interviewing anyone who claimed to have seen something. But for all the noise and effort, there were no real answers. Days passed without a single lead. Detectives from the county sheriff's office named it Case 47, another number in a growing list of disappearances that stretched back years. But none of the others had drawn this much attention. None had involved the prom queen. The media made her a national story, and with that came endless theories. Some said she had run away to escape the pressure of perfection. Others believed she had been taken by someone who couldn't let go. The town began to turn on itself, each rumor spreading faster than the last. At the edge of Miller's Creek, investigators found faint footprints near the bank, half erased by rain. There were two sets, one small, likely Lily's, and another larger, heading in the same direction. Broken branches suggested a struggle, and nearby, half buried in the mud, lay a fragment of her golden prom crown. It was scratched, bent, and covered in dirt, an eerie reminder of the girl everyone was still searching for. The discovery deepened the mystery. Whoever had taken Lily had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only confusion and fear. As the weeks passed, attention began to shift. People whispered about her friends, her teachers, even her family. Reporters camped outside her home, waiting for signs of breaking news. Lily's boyfriend, Tyler Brooks, became the focus of unwanted attention after inconsistencies in his statements made headlines. He insisted he'd left the dance early, but a witness claimed to have seen him near the parking lot after midnight. The police questioned him repeatedly, but without evidence, he was released. By the third week, the hope that Lily might still be alive began to fade. Posters on telephone poles curled under the summer heat, their colors fading. The school canceled end-of-year celebrations out of respect, but the halls remained heavy with unspoken fear. In a place that once felt safe, no one trusted anyone anymore. Ridgewood had lost its innocence, and beneath its calm surface, something darker had begun to grow. The mystery of the missing prom queen was no longer just a tragedy. It had become the town's obsession. 3 weeks after Lily Harper vanished, the investigation took a chilling turn. Detectives, desperate for leads, began digging in her online life. Her social media pages, once filled with cheerful photos and motivational captions, now looked different under scrutiny. Among the filtered smiles and prom preparations, investigators noticed something strange. Messages from a username no one recognized, Shadow47. The account had been active in the weeks leading up to her disappearance, posting comments that started playfully but soon turned disturbing. Some messages hinted at following her, knowing her secrets, and warning her about the night that would change everything. The username felt symbolic. The 47 matched the case number assigned after she went missing, though the account had existed long before the crime. Forensic experts tried tracing it, but every lead vanished in fake emails and encrypted IP addresses. Whoever Shadow47 was, they had planned carefully. Then came another discovery that deepened the mystery, an image posted from the account on the night of the prom. It showed Lily standing by her car, moments before she disappeared. The picture had never appeared in public before, and no one knew who had taken it. Attention quickly shifted toward Lily's circle. Investigators started looking closely at the people who had been closest to her. Tyler Brooks, her boyfriend, continued to deny involvement, but his relationship with Lily had been strained in the weeks before prom. Friends described arguments, jealousy, and a breakup that almost happened. Her best friend, Samantha Reed, seemed heartbroken but also nervous whenever she spoke to reporters. Yet it was Evan Miles, a quiet photography student from the year above, who caught the detective's attention. Evan had been hired by the school to take official prom pictures. He was known for his talent, but also for keeping to himself. When questioned, he said he left early after finishing his assignments. But when detectives searched his apartment, they found something that contradicted his story: a camera with hundreds of unsubmitted photos from that night. Most were harmless shots of students dancing, but one image stood out. It was a grainy photo of Lily in the parking lot, time-stamped just minutes before she disappeared. The angle of the photo suggested that the photographer had been hiding or watching from a distance. When confronted, Evan claimed he didn't remember taking that picture. He said the memory card must have been switched or tampered with. But investigators weren't convinced. His statements shifted with every interview, and his nervous demeanor made him appear guilty. Yet, there wasn't enough evidence to arrest him. As news of the discovery broke, the town erupted again. People demanded answers. Reporters flooded the police station, and social media turned into a storm of accusations. For the first time, Ridgewood had a name to attach to its fear. But beneath the surface, detectives sensed that Evan wasn't the entire story. Someone else was involved, someone who had been watching not just Lily, but everyone who had ever searched for her. The true face behind Shadow 47 remained hidden, and the case grew colder by the day. Months passed, and the town of Ridgewood tried to return to normal, though the memory of Lily Harper's disappearance lingered like a shadow over every street and home. Search parties had long been disbanded, and the prom queen's name was no longer on every headline. But for the investigators, the case never went cold. Leads had dried up, and the trail seemed hopeless. That is, until a fisherman reported seeing something unusual in Crescent Lake, a quiet, secluded spot about 20 miles from town. The water shimmered in the afternoon sun, but beneath the surface, something dark seemed to shift. Divers were called in, their equipment cutting through the murky depths with cold precision. The first dive yielded nothing, but on the second attempt, a rusted metal barrel was discovered partially buried in mud along the lake bed. Its presence was strange. No one remembered seeing it there before, and it certainly did not belong in such a remote area. Carefully, divers brought it to the surface. When the lid was pried open, a wave of shock hit the team. Inside were remnants of Lily's prom dress, her golden crown, and fragments of bone confirmed to be hers. The discovery sent immediate ripples through the investigation. Finally, there was physical evidence, a grim confirmation that Lily had not simply disappeared, but had met a violent end. Fingerprints lifted from the barrel revealed an unsettling connection. The prints matched Evan Miles, the photography student who had been a person of interest since the investigation began. When questioned again, Evan's calm demeanor cracked. He admitted to meeting Lily that night, but his story was strange, almost surreal. He insisted he had never intended to hurt her, claiming she had discovered something dangerous about another person, something worth killing to keep secret. The police pressed for details, but Evan offered nothing more. Days later, the case took another tragic turn. Evan, overwhelmed by guilt and fear of facing the consequences, took his own life in his apartment. He left behind a brief note scrawled in haste. She wasn't the only one. The words sent chills through the investigation team and the community alike. They hinted at a wider conspiracy, suggesting that Evan had been involved in something far beyond a simple crime of obsession. The town of Ridgewood struggled to comprehend the brutality of what had happened. Candlelight vigils were held along the lake, and Lily's friends and family mourned quietly, haunted by the unanswered questions. For many, the case felt closed with Evan's death, but for the detectives, it was far from over. His note, combined with the cryptic images and digital traces from Shadow 47, pointed to the possibility that someone else had orchestrated the events leading to Lily's murder. Crescent Lake, once a place of serenity, became a grim reminder of the horrors lurking beneath calm surfaces. The water reflected the sky, yet the darkness below told another story, one of fear, obsession, and secrets kept too long. Even with Evan gone, the investigators realized that Lily's death was part of a more complex puzzle, and somewhere, someone else knew the truth. The town had witnessed the first pieces of the grim reality, but the full picture remained hidden, just out of reach, like a shadow gliding beneath the lake's surface, silent and watchful. After Evan Miles's death, Ridgewood believed that Case 47 had finally come to a close. The official report labeled Lily Harper's disappearance and murder as the result of a disturbed obsession, and the town attempted to move forward. Yet the feeling of unease lingered. Even years later, parents warned their children not to wander alone, and the halls of Ridgewood High carried a quiet tension whenever prom season approached. For the police, the case was never truly finished. Something in Evan's cryptic note, "She wasn't the only one," continued to gnaw at them, a puzzle piece that didn't fit. In 2016, 4 years after Lily's disappearance, a new detective was assigned to review cold cases in the county. Detective Marissa Lane had a reputation for persistence and an eye for detail. She revisited the evidence, the photographs, and the digital traces left behind by Shadow 47. While sorting through Evan's belongings, she discovered a small hard drive hidden inside a locked drawer in his locker at school. Its existence had gone unnoticed during the initial investigation. When examined, it contained hundreds of photographs from prom night, some candid, some professional, all showing students dancing and laughing. But one set of images drew her attention. They showed Lily walking across the parking lot, heading toward her car. In the photos, a tall figure in a security uniform lingered in the background, appearing to follow her. The man's face was obscured by shadows, but his presence was unmistakable. Detective Lane cross-referenced the security staff list from that night and noticed an anomaly. One guard's name had been removed from official records, a name that seemingly vanished in a thin air after prom ended. The realization was chilling. Evan had not acted alone. The figure in the security uniform suggested someone with access to the venue and knowledge of Lily's movements had been watching, possibly orchestrating her disappearance. The investigation expanded quietly but urgently. Calls were made to former staff members, background checks were run, and security footage was scoured again, though many tapes had been mysteriously erased. The deeper Lane dug, the more it became clear that Ridgewood's nightmare had involved more than a single troubled student. It involved someone who could move in the shadows without drawing attention. The town never fully recovered. Memorials for Lily continued every year, with students leaving flowers and notes beneath the oak tree near the gym where she had last been seen. Her crown, tarnished and fragile, was placed inside a glass box at the school, a haunting reminder of the night that changed everything. Parents warned their children about strangers, students whispered about the invisible danger that had haunted their town, and the memory of the missing prom queen became a legend in its own right. Even today, Case 47 remains officially unsolved. The mysterious guard's identity was never discovered, and the truth behind Shadow 47 remains hidden in digital shadows. For Ridgewood, the mystery is more than a story. It is a scar, a whisper in empty hallways, and a reminder that innocence can vanish in the blink of an eye. The golden crown sits behind glass, silent and still, symbolizing a life cut short and a question that will never fully be answered. Every year, as prom night approaches, the town remembers Lily Harper, the girl who shone brightest, only to disappear into darkness, leaving behind a mystery that refuses to die.